Hello, and welcome back to the Pure Nintendo Podcast. This is your weekly dose of all things Nintendo. And this week we have a very special episode. It happens to be our Game of the Year episode. So we're wishing you all a happy new year, but before we get into 2024, let's reflect on the year that was. And 2023 was a very big year, as it turned out. So we're going to count down our top 10 games of the year before we have our official Pure Nintendo list. But let me introduce who's with me today. I have with me my biggest Godzilla fan ever. It is Kirk. Welcome back, Kirk.
Greetings, everybody.
And joining me again this week, I also have Trev. Welcome back, Trev.
Hello, for the final time in 2023.
Yes. And welcome back after a short absence, but it's our esteemed leader and founder. It is Justin. Welcome back, Justin.
Hey, everyone. It's good to be back.
Yeah, it's great to have you. And what an exciting show. I've been looking forward to this for weeks to talk about our games of the year. And I know Trev's been working very hard behind the scenes to get our official team list together. So thank you, Trev. And it's been tough. It's been tough to come up with a top 10 list, and it always is tough. But this year seems harder than usual for some reason. So I'm sure you guys will agree. But yeah, we'll have some discussion points along the way, I'm sure. But if we're ready, let's just kick things straight off and get right into it. And we're gonna follow the same format as last year, where we count down from 10 to 1 individually. We'll each do 10, we'll each do 9, we'll each do 8. So we're going to start off with Kirk. If you're ready to give us your number 10 pick for 2023, please.
I am ready. And speaking of Godzilla, in a way, my number 10 pick was a game called Terror of Hemosaurus, which is a arcade action game. It's published by Games by Lauren Lemke, and is very reminiscent of Rampage, if you remember that from the arcades.
I do.
I love Rampage.
And then you would love this game. It's a bigger version of it with more scrolling, more actually, like Rampage was one screen. This one, you kind of scrolled left to right, but it has a whole climate catastrophe plot line, which was both sad and hilarious at the same time. And is just a lot of fun, especially for multiplayer. It's that kind of action multiplied by 10, and it just has some huge action moments with so many buildings exploding and collapsing on each other. Total joy for the end of the earth.
Cool. The end of the earth. That sounds really fun, actually. This is good because this list, hopefully, items like that, games like that, if listeners haven't heard of that, or even if I haven't heard of that, then it's something worth checking out. So,
yeah, that's an indie game, right, Kirk?
Yes. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, and a fantastic one. It doesn't last long. It's kind of a short game, but it's great to pop out from time to time when you have friends over and just want some crazy, easily accessible action.
Yeah. You had me at Rampage, I think. Thank you. Well, I will go second. So my number 10 game, and I don't know how to limit this to just like 30 or 60 seconds because it happens to be Fire Emblem, which came out
10?
Yeah, I know. Kirk, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm out.
I know. And
you guys have fun.
Trust me, I don't know how this list came together. It was very hard, like I said, and I really was making excuses for this because looking at it now, I'm like, why is Fire Emblem 10? But it's been a tough year, okay? It's been a tough year.
All right, well, at least it's there. So
you'll be even, it's even worse for me to say that Fire Emblem wasn't even on my list because I forgot it even existed this year. Until
it came out early in the year, right?
Yeah, it was an early release. That's fair. You may have thought it was 2022.
Exactly. That's exactly what happened. But Fire Emblem, I mean, this was a return to form, I think, for Fire Emblem. And Kirk, I'm sure you'll have a lot to say about it. It's definitely on your list, I'm sure. But
yes.
I know you.
Spoiler alert, yes.
It was such a fun game to get back into after, what seemed like a while. And, since Three Houses was quite a departure from the typical formula that we've seen. This was such a breath of fresh air to get back into that classic Fire Emblem action. And it just looked lovely as well. They always do. The characters, the combat, it's all just wonderful. So I probably don't need to gush about it too much. I'll leave that for Kirk. But that is my number 10 game. Probably deserves a little bit higher, but there you go. Let's move on to Trev. Save me, Trev. What's your number 10 game?
Believe it or not, my number 10 game was the most difficult to choose. For whatever odd reason, I probably had 6 or 7 different games move out of that slot over the past few weeks. But I ended up settling on a game called Dave the Diver,
Nice.
which is a game I first heard of from Justin on a podcast a few months ago. And of course, Gemma, you reviewed that one and scored it highly. And after I read that, I said, this is a game I got to check out. And I haven't gotten super far into it, but my wife's also playing it. And, it's one of those games, even if you haven't played it, like I was talking to a Pure Nintendo contributor earlier today, actually, day of recording. And he's like, yeah, you can see the love that was put into it. And I think that is worthy of a spot on my list. Is it indie? Is it not? That's a debate for another time. But yeah, Dave the Diver, my number 10.
Excellent. I'm glad that made it, Trev. I was hoping you would get a kick out of it, so that's good to hear. Justin, would you like to give us your number 10, please?
Yeah. So number 10. I'm a big Pokemon fan, and coming at number 10 is the Detective Pikachu Returns game. So
nice.
I know for those that have probably looked into it, I think it had kind of middle of the road reviews, and it is fairly easy. It skews towards being very easy, but that's kind of par for the course for a game that's not necessarily designed for adults necessarily, but still a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. It has a lot of fun little puzzles, and it kind of scratched a little bit of that itch for a Professor Layton game, which I'm excited about the new one that's coming out. Hopefully next year, maybe 2025. But Detective Pikachu Returns. It's worth a play if you can maybe get it on a discount or something like that. I think it is already maybe a $40 or $50 game. So
yeah. Oh, that's awesome. I'm glad that made your list. It was, to be honest, that was one of the ones that rotated for me, but it didn't get high enough reviews. So I thought I probably shouldn't put it in, but I did enjoy it. So that was an honorable mention for me, I'd say. Yeah. Thank you, Justin. Let's move back to Kirk. What is your number 9 title?
Number 9 is going to be my first JRPG on the list. This one is The Legend of Heroes: Trails to Azure, which was the sequel to Trails from Zero, both of which are obviously part of the Legend of Heroes universe. And I believe these were originally released on the PSP. They got late Nintendo Switch releases. The reason it makes it is because we do revert back to the type of gameplay and graphics that we had on those older systems, it was really indicative of how great the stories are. Because the stories, the characters were just as good here as they were on the Cold Steel games, which were released for the Switch also and have a much more modern style gameplay. So it was just great to be able to go back and play these older games and have as much fun with them, despite their age, that I did with the more modern ones.
Excellent. Very cool. So it's the first of many JRPGs, I'm sure, that we'll be hearing about today.
We'll talk about a few.
Nice.
That game was actually one of Metacritic's. I think that was in the top 20 for highest reviewed Switch games. So that's cool that it made one of our list.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, not surprised by that at all. It really, if you look at these old games and think, it looks too old, or you just want a more modern experience, don't do that with this one. If you're at all into JRPGs, you'll love it, provided you played Trails from Zero first.
Yeah, right. Okay. It's a prerequisite to have that under your belt.
Yeah. This is a very complex universe that you have to work your way through, and you got to start from the start.
Cool. Good to know. Thank you for that tip. My number 9 is Advance Wars 1 and 2, which is another tactical kind of turn-based battle kind of game. I think everyone knows Advance Wars. It's got a long history. Again, it was a bit of a return. See, this is the issue that I have, because it's a re-release of sorts. It's a combination of 2 earlier titles that were, what were they, DS titles or something. They're obviously HD graphics, updates, etc. And I've been clamoring for an Advance Wars title on the Switch for a very long time. So naturally, I was super excited when this came out, and it's great. It's wonderful. It's just the only downside is it's not new content. Of course, if you have never played Advance Wars before, then it is new content. So, which is a bit like another game on my list that is completely new for me, but we'll get to that later. But it is wonderful. It's graphically looks. They've updated it the visuals in a really nice way. It's just as fun to play as it was on the DS. I thought I might miss the stylus a little bit, but no, it works well. It's really fun and engaging. So I had a really good time with that one, and I was very happy to see it. I think this was meant to be a 2022 game, so it was actually delayed a whole year due to other global issues. So it was good to finally have it released on the Switch. What I'm looking forward to next is maybe something new in the series. So we'll see if that ever eventuates, depending on how this went sales wise, I guess. But yeah, that's my number 9. Trev, what's your number 9?
So in the number 9 slot, I had WarioWare Move It, which
Cool.
is sort of, I guess the WarioWare games are a little bit B tier as far as Nintendo developed games go, but I really like this. Probably the only reason it's not higher on the list is you'll have more fun playing that with friends than you would, on your own. But we quite enjoyed it. My wife and I played through it, and a lot of fun, micro games, motion controlled. So that's another thing that can, might make some people hesitate. But there's just a lot of laughs. I thought the new voice actor for Wario did a great job, and it's high quality, frantic fun. It's what I was looking for in a WarioWare game, what I was expecting, and Nintendo hit the mark. So that's my number 9 game.
Nice. I assumed that would be on your list. I was wondering where it would pop in. I would love to have included it on mine, but unfortunately I don't have it. I was thinking to get it this week, Christmas week. I thought I might have some time, but I just didn't get around to it because then, maybe it was on my list. But that would have just made my job harder to find a spot for it.
If and when you do pick it up, I think your kids are going to love it, Jemma.
Yeah, it sounds super fun, based on your review and everything. So, yeah, I'm glad it hit the spot, that's for sure. So, moving on to Justin. What's your number 9 game of 2023?
This is sort of coincidental, but I'm realizing there's 9s in the title of this game. But F-Zero 99 is
nice.
Number 9 pick. I don't know if you guys got to play it, but
I did, yes.
I thought it was a good, I haven't always resonated with the 99 games. I did play Tetris 99 quite a bit. And I think there was some like Mario 35th anniversary one that was like a mashup that was kind of interesting. But F-Zero 99, like I've been wanting Nintendo to do a new F-Zero game for a long time, and this one was a lot of fun. It goes back to the roots of the original on the Super Nintendo, so it has all the Mode 7 graphics, and obviously introduces a battle royale type mode and some new gameplay mechanics. They have added like new maps and kind of like a typical Grand Prix to kind of get people to dip their toe into what the core game was used to. You kind of go through these various tracks and just try to win each cup and all of that. So I'm hoping. I know my nephew. One of my nephews, he got really into it, and he's like, "Man, do you think they'll do a new F-Zero game?" And I was like, "Well, I mean, if it does well, they get a lot of people playing it, and get kind of this younger generation. I feel like F-Zero could find an audience if Nintendo, not just to the hardcore fans. I think there's plenty of the newer generation that would play a new game, or even if they do a remake of GX or something like that, which I know people have been clamoring for. So, anyways." It was a lot of fun.
Oh, that's cool. Because I remember when they announced that, and you were a bit kind of disappointed that it wasn't a new F-Zero title. But I'm glad it sort of, I guess, hit the spot a little bit, or it can tide you over until maybe something new comes along. By the sounds of it,
yeah. Scratch the itch a little bit.
Scratch the itch,
like, I want more.
And it just makes you want it even more, right? Like the new one or a new one. Yeah, and I agree. It was fun. I did try that one. I played it quite a few times. I like the way they did it. It's fast paced. Obviously, it's crazy, chaotic fun. So
that one was hovering in my honorable mentions for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So I did play it too, and I probably would have had it maybe even in my list if I just wasn't so bad at it.
Yeah.
To be clear, I'm terrible at it. I think I may have broken the top 20 once, but
Right. Okay. Wow.
given up on being finishing the first or any of the 90 games.
I just assumed you'd be like really good. You're very good at Mario Kart, so I thought maybe that would translate to F-Zero.
A lot of I'm not a big fan of battle royale games, honestly, because I do think it's a lot of people may come at with me with pitchforks, but it's a lot of it's a lot of randomness, especially in F-Zero 99. You're basically just bouncing off people for the first lap or so it's yes, there is some skill to managing your boost and all of that, and yes, you can spin and knock people away. There's definitely some nuance to the gameplay, but I think we'd all be kidding ourselves if there wasn't some randomness and luck and chance. Anyways,
cool. Oh, I'm glad it made the list. Thank you, Justin. Let's rotate back to Kirk for number 8.
This one, I'm not sure if I'd call it a JRPG. It's the second game on my list published by NIS America, however, and they do a lot of these style games. This one is Labyrinth of Galeria, The Moon Society. It's such a complex game that I don't want to go into too much detail on about what it is, but I think the closest equivalent maybe would be like Etrian Odyssey, where you're going into these dungeons and you're mapping them out as you go and kind of pushing as far as you can and then retreating back and acquiring new items or skills or upgrading. The main gist here is that you're building these brigades of witches, basically, and you can fill them in so many different ways to get so many different powers to be able to continue to push into this. But it's got the coolest thing about it, aside from the exploration and mapping out these dungeons, which is very addictive, is the story is kind of like this dark fairy tale. I want to say it's an adult fairy tale. It does touch on some mature topics, but not in a way to make it inaccessible to teenagers or anything. It's not like too bad. It does have an M rating, but I don't think it's fully warranted. But just a very fun, very addictive game that I ended up sinking a lot more hours into than many of the games that I reviewed this year.
Nice. Excellent. Thank you, Kirk. My number 8 is one I've talked about a few times on the show, which is Vampire Survivors. And I just love this game. It's just so much fun. I still haven't hit that 30-minute mark, so the goal is to survive for 30 minutes. I still haven't made it. But
Are you above 25 now? We left off at 25,
yeah,
right?
I think the best is 20. It's like 26 or like 25, 58 or something like that. It's like... it's intense, and it's you collect coins along the way, and so then outside of the game you can sort of level up your characters. You can buy kind of power-ups. You give yourself a bit more, I don't know, status, I suppose, to help in the next time you do a run. So it's so simple, the concept. You're just in a room that kind of scrolls indefinitely sideways. You can go up, down, left, or right, but it's a top-down perspective. And there's just hordes of different enemies. And they start off relatively simple, but of course your weapons also start off relatively simple. And then as you level up, you kind of choose which weapons to upgrade. And then there's whips, there's like boomerang type things. There's this kind of flash that gets rid of everything on the screen. There's like this holy Bible that rotates around you. It's got a very Castlevania-esque vibe to it. It just reminds me of Simon Belmont. There's the dude with the whip, and it's pretty cool. The graphics are just also kind of that retro style, like 16-bit-ish. So it's right up my alley. And you don't have to press anything. You just walk, and the attacks just happen automatically. So you just have to survive. That's all you have to concentrate on is surviving. And you kind of have like a little health meter, but as it depletes... once it depletes fully, you turn into this little coffin, and if you have multiple players, you can respawn. It just takes like 30 seconds, so your other teammates have to survive those 30 seconds until you respawn. If you all die at once, then it's game over. So yeah, I love it. It's really good. It's really, really fun. It's kind of up there in my top played games of the year, actually, surprisingly as well. So I must have spent a bit of time with it this year. It's just really easy to just pick up and have a go. But I think, as I said on the show maybe a week or two ago, it's hard to play on your own. You can certainly do that, but it's much easier with more people. But I think they probably throw more enemies at you as well if there's more people. So yeah. Anyway, one to check out, and it's really cheap as well. It's a couple of dollars, I think, maybe up to $5 or something. So yeah, a worthy worthy entry into my list at least. But Trev, what is your number 8?
So it's interesting. I was looking at Metacritic's top, reviewed Switch games of the year, and the game I have on my list is just ahead of Vampire Survivors. So,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
and that's the making of Karateka or Karateka,
Ah.
depending on how you say it, which is, of course, adopts the digital Eclipse style with that interactive timeline, which I just absolutely love, and they've really done a lot as a gaming historian buff. I love stuff like this, but even just as to play, like the Karateka remaster is great. They have some of the developers' early works that have been updated, and they're just fun. And I love the format, and they're going to continue with it in 2024 with I think it's a Jeff Minter collection. So, yeah, the making of Karateka. It didn't get a ton of reviews because it is more of a a niche audience, but hopefully, if you're browsing through Metacritic and you see it's got universal acclaim, yeah, check it out. Check out our review too.
Yeah, I remember you talking about that one. It does sound very interesting. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you, Trev. So that was in the Metacritic top 20 as well. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it had
Yeah.
90, which I think it was just ahead of Vampire Survivors, which had 88, if I
Cool.
remember right. So
Nice. Very nice. Good to see.
and that's good too, because there's always that one person that is going to rate it low. So if it can get
Yeah.
a universal acclaim, it's doing something right.
Yeah, exactly. That's brilliant. Very cool. Thank you very much. Okay, let's move on to Justin for your number 8, please.
Hey, and this is another Pokemon related one, but this is interesting for me. Like, it's been one of my most played games this year, but it's the DLC for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet.
Ah, nice.
And there are times where, like, obviously the performance of Scarlet and Violet, like the frame rate, there's like even just the look of it leaves much to be desired, but the gameplay is still just so cozy to me, that just the Pokemon formula. So and I've loved a lot of the new Pokemon designs in this generation, and these 2 DLC packs this year. The second one just came out. Kind of weird. It came out like December 15. I was like, man, I haven't seen like a game or DLC released that late into the year. But it's been a lot of fun. Some new Pokemon in those 2 to catch. So they basically added 100 classic Pokemon in each pack.
Cool.
So I think now, like the total Pokedex that you can catch in Scarlet and Violet with all the DLC is like 400 plus Pokemon. They typically don't have you let you catch all 1,000 plus Pokemon that have, because they are over 1,000 now. But they did introduce some new legendary mythical Pokemon, things like that. So, anyways, it's a lot of fun. I do hope that some of the, if there is a Switch 2 or something like that, Pokemon, I think, could benefit quite a bit from some of the performance games of a new system. But anyways, still a lot of fun. So.
Yeah, I'm glad that made your list. I was hoping it would. I wanted to add it, but I haven't played it. Like, as in, I played it at PAX, and then I know it's out, and I just haven't had a chance to get it. And I'm like, if I pick it up before the end of the year, it probably would make my list, but unfortunately, I haven't picked it up yet. So, yeah, I'm glad it made yours. Yeah, because I really enjoyed Scarlet, and well, I had Violet. I think it was in my top 10 last year, and I think when we were talking about our years in review recently, it was my number 1 game of, I think, January of this year, because I was playing it so much back then. So yeah, good to see that it's on your list. Thank you, Justin. Circling back to Kirk for number 7, please. What's your number 7?
My number 7 is Might and Magic Clash of Heroes Definitive Edition.
Cool.
Published by .emu. This was a game I played a long time ago on the iPhone, more accurately on the iPad. I tended to play it there. Might and Magic, of course, has been around forever. This isn't really a traditional Might and Magic game. It's more of a puzzle-oriented game, but with a lot of turn-based combat, where you've got an army on the top of the screen, you've got your army on the bottom of the screen, or vice versa. Sorry. And you're launching attacks at each other, building up chains. If you chain certain warriors, I guess they're all individual warriors of individual colors, you get more points on the attack. You can build up defenses along the way. There are different unit types. So, but they attack a different amount of turns. Like, let's say if you set up a chain, it may take 3 turns before they're allowed to move. The enemy, in the meantime, could wipe them out, so they can't. Some have better defense, some don't. So there's an awful lot to manage, but it's just a really engaging system. I played it mostly on the iPad, as I mentioned, but never finished it. I got hung up on a couple things and then just quit. And getting it back on the Switch, I was able to push all the way through and just had a great time with it. So if you haven't played it yet, I do recommend, if you're into this kind of game, then it's certainly worth it on the Switch. A great way to play both docked and in handheld mode.
Brilliant. Thank you, Kirk. I do remember you talking about that one earlier this year. So, yeah, glad that made the list for you. It does sound very good. Moving on to my number 7, and this is one that we've already mentioned, which is Dave the Diver. So, yes, I did review this one. I did enjoy it. I think, like Trev said, Justin mentioned it to us. I think when they announced it, Justin, you said you were the only one of us who had tried it previously. And I was very happy to give it a go. It just looked so unique and kind of weird, and it is. But it totally works. It's such a fun mesh of genres, and the story is really quirky and amusing. The characters are great. It's a lot of fun. It's just so different to anything else I played this year. So it absolutely had to make my list. This is another one I questioned where to place it, but there it is at number 7. So let's move on to Trev. What's your number 7, Trev?
It speaks to the quality year we've had when a game like this is only number 7. But I had Metroid Prime Remastered.
Wow.
And I sort of wrestled with some of the things you did with Advance War, Jemma, that, this is just an HD version of, of GameCube or Wii games. Like, so yeah, it's one of those, I feel like I could have had it in the top 3, but when all of a sudden done, I had to put it where it was. But it's a great game. And obviously if you've never played it, I think it would be even higher. It's the sort of game that, just talking about it now, I'm thinking about jumping back into it. But I really sunk a lot of time into it early in the year. It was an earlier, I think it was like a first quarter release in 2023. But yeah, it's a great game, and I do feel bad having it lower, but other Pure Nintendo staffers had it higher up, I know. So
Cool.
just forgive me for just having it at 7th.
Yeah, it's hard, and it's a very personal thing. It's and I think like we've all been saying, it's tough. It's a tough choice, but the choices have to be made. So thank you for making the tough choice, Trev. Justin, what's your tough choice at number 7?
Oh man, yeah. Super Mario RPG. I know.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That does sound like a tough choice and a controversial one to me.
Lower on the list, but man, it has been really good. I haven't finished it yet, but I think such a faithful, remake of the original, and yeah, anyone who hasn't played it or hasn't played the original or has played the original, it's fantastic. I'm trying to remember another remake that's been so faithful, but so, yeah, I don't know. Like, it's visually stunning and yeah, so familiar. I don't know. It's hard, but definitely fantastic. But yeah, that's the tough year we've had.
Yeah, that is that is a tough choice right there. I can't wait to see where that lands on your list, Trev. I know where it is on mine.
Well, I feel like Justin's getting me back with that pick for my Metroid Prime pick. So
Yeah. Yes. Back at you. Yeah. So thank you, Justin. Moving back to Kirk. what's your number 6 title, and is it a tough choice?
It's a surprising choice. When I got it, I did not know I was going to enjoy it as much as I did. This one is Bayonetta Origins,
Oh,
Cereza and the Lost Demon. I was
right.
surprised by this one because I didn't enjoy Bayonetta 3. This is a
Mm,
completely different game, however. It's more of it's kind of a puzzle action game. It's built like a fairy tale. It centers around Bayonetta when she was young, maybe around teenage years, maybe a bit younger, but she is coming into her own with her witch powers. She's warned not to go into the forest. She goes into the forest. Everything goes bad. Now she needs to continue through it to set things right. And she ends up with she gets a hold of a demon that somehow, I can't remember exactly what the steps were, but kind of becomes a stuffed toy for her,
yeah.
but can still unleash its demon powers. So the two of them need to reluctantly work together in order to access new areas of the forest in combat. But it's just a very, as gentle as a Bayonetta story can be. It's a gentle, slightly macabre fairy tale that was wonderfully engaging throughout. I got into it the entire time. Enjoyed the process. It does start to get a little old after a while. It never really evolves too much, so you enjoy it more at the beginning than at the end. But it doesn't lose so much of its charm that you don't want to finish it. A very surprising choice for me, but also a bold decision to even make this game in the Bayonetta universe.
Mm,
So good time.
yeah, I agree. A very bold choice. I don't know what the reaction was at the time from hardcore Bayonetta fans, but it is such a different, approach to things than the actual, the mainline games. Yeah, don't know how it did, but I did try the demo, so I can, I can verify that it is quite unique and quite. I enjoyed my time with the demo for sure. So
Yeah, and
yeah,
very pretty too. I should mention that the
it
graphics are
is.
just so colorful and
Hmm.
well done. I don't want to say magical because it sounds like I'm gushing too much, but I'm going to say it anyway. It's just got a whole magical feel
Yeah,
to it.
sounds a bit Disney to me, but
Yeah, and that's probably another reason I'm going to bail on it. If
yeah.
Disney could make things this good, I would be so happy.
Yeah. There you go. That is the perfect way to sum that one up. Okay. Thank you, Kirk. My number 6 is another indie title for me, which is called Planet Cube Edge. And this was a platformer that I reviewed earlier this year, maybe first quarter. I can't remember exactly when it was. And I really wanted to throw it in and into this list just because it really stood out to me as it was just a standout title overall. Like, I love my platformers. I think everyone knows that. Mario, I love the Mario series. I love anytime a platformer pops up in our review queue, I'm like interested immediately. I love to compare them. Excuse me. Because some are done very well and some are done not so well. This one is done really well. It's probably my favorite platformer since Mario. It's just something about it works. It's not. It's got a really balanced difficulty level. Like, it's tough, but it's not frustrating. I think they've nailed that really well. And it's about a little robot. It's also quite cute. There's a little robot who's, I think, some aliens. This has been a while since I played it, but some aliens have taken over this robot planet Cube, as it turns out. And there's one robot who's, not captured, and so he sets about trying to free all the other robots. And it's really well done. The graphics are great. It's a side-scrolling adventure. Obviously, it's a platformer. There's some collectibles to get, which I love. I just love that aspect. Trying to find these little hidden gems in a level. The music is really good. It's quite fast-paced. They just did a really excellent job with it. I almost even bought a plush toy version of this little dude, the Edge,
Oh
because
wow.
I think it's called Makeship or something. There's like this website where they make plush versions of characters from indie games. And I saw on Twitter that they were making one for this game. And so I supported it, like a Kickstarter type of thing. I supported it. Unfortunately, they didn't get enough support. So I never received my plush version of,
Oh.
the little dude from Planet Cube, which I would have loved. But now I do get emails from Makeship. So we'll see if anything else turns up. Yeah. If you're into platformers, definitely worth checking out Planet Cube Edge. And that is my number 6. Trev, what is your number 6?
So for the 6th spot, I had the Mario Kart DLC, the booster tracks.
Cool.
And I think I had that on my list last year too.
You
Obviously,
did.
a different set of tracks, but this one, to some extent, had a similar debate, like with Metroid Prime. Like, these are mostly familiar tracks, but there were some brand new tracks, and I feel like these tracks, especially the ones that were, from like the Game Boy Advance, really stood out as different. And I just reminded myself, back in the day, a full Mario Kart retail game would be 16 tracks. And we got more than that this year just in DLC.
Yeah.
So how do I not have that on my list? Especially when, it's the type of game I can have a blast playing on my own. I can have a blast playing locally with friends. I can have a blast playing online. I just had to have it. And I think everyone who's bought it or who gets it free from, Switch Online, I think this is another one that everyone loves.
Mm-hmm. Definitely agree with that. Thank you. Justin, what is your number 6?
Well, it's the exact same thing in the Mario Kart 8 DLC.
Nice.
How about
Tied. You guys are best friends again.
Right. Do we just become best friends? Yes.
Being back together.
Exactly. Yeah, the DLC for Mario Kart. Yeah, like Trev said, fantastic. It's been really cool to just have it's almost been with all the other games coming out this year, and you're like, oh, there's another Mario Kart DLC, and it comes out next week. Awesome. It's been like the cherry on top, and just such good quality. Like, that is the nice thing. They got into a really good groove. Like, Mario Kart 8 is already such a really good value package with all the other levels that are in there, and then to just like, hey, could we have more? Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah. Oh, awesome. Yes, thank you very much, Justin. That rounds out our number 6. Let's circle back to Kirk. Now, this is where we're getting into, I guess, the creme de la creme. It's the top 5 that we're talking about now. So do you want to lead the way, Kirk, with your number 5 title for 2023?
I will. And I think it's a game I won't have to discuss too much because it will be discussed by many of us later. I don't know if I'll catch flack for having it this low, but it is Super Mario Wonder.
I thought that's what you were going to say. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
keep in mind, though, this is not my kind of game. I don't enjoy platformers that much. I can review them and take everything subjectively and consider whether it's something that would be enjoyable for people who like that kind of game. Despite all that, I love this game. I had a great time playing it. My wife and I play it together. And it's as good, I think, as one of these games can be. And, like I mentioned, I'm not a platformer guy, even if you're not. It's one you should have in your collection and should be in your top 5, as it is with me.
Very nice. I think that's no, I'm happy with that, Kirk. I mean, I did have Fire Emblem at number 10, so I can't really say anything. I'm sure it's on all our list somewhere. Let's see where it is. But my number 5 is not that, but it is Mario Kart 8 DLC Deluxe DLC. Sorry. So you guys had it 6. Mine is number 5, and I think I need to thank Trev, because last year you included this, like you said, and we had all forgotten that we could do that, or we didn't realize we could do that. So now we do include DLC that's released during the year. I definitely wanted to include this on my list, and I've been actually fortunate enough to review every DLC pack that's come out. I did all 6, and I've thoroughly enjoyed doing so and giving a summary of all the tracks and my thoughts on them. And it's tough to review because, each pack is pretty much as good as the previous and the next. They're all very much on par. And I think Justin kind of nailed it on the head with what you said about it just being a little surprise that's come kind of out of the blue. Like, oh, next week there's new DLC for Mario Kart 8. And it never got old. I didn't ever not look forward to seeing new tracks from Mario Kart 8. Like, I was excited. I'm like, the day it's available, I will be playing it. You know what I mean? So, yeah. So I think they did a great job.
So good at it, Jemma. If you reviewed them all,
true. But Justin still beats me. So, yeah. No, it's been a great, just an absolute blast to play these. And I'm kind of sad now that it's over. Like, the 6th pack is out, and what's next? I mean, something great will happen for Mario Kart, I'm sure, in the future. But for now, we have a bunch of tracks to enjoy at any time we like. And I love what Trev said, which is that it's good for solo players, it's good for multiple players, local, online, it has it all. So it really ticks all the boxes. So yeah, very happy with that one. Trev, what is your number 5?
So I just got to say, most of my top 5 is dominated by first party things. So I'm so excited to have one indie title that made my
Ooh,
top 5. And this
nice.
is a game called Lunark, which, if I remember right, is actually the studio's first game. Not saying that maybe they haven't, obviously done projects for other studios or whatnot, but this is their first game, and it's a cinematic platformer, very much in the style of like Flashback, The Quest for Identity. And I love that genre, and a lot of times developers will try to capture that flavor and miss the mark in this respect or that respect. They'll still be good, but they won't ever be great. This one was great. Not only did it capture the flavor in an authentic way, I think it really stepped it up in some ways. It just wowed the heck out of me. And honestly, it was a couple tweaks away from a 10. That's how much I liked it.
Wow.
And it's one of those games because cinematic platformers are not regular platformers. They're not for everyone, so it could be overlooked. But I would encourage anyone at least check out the trailer, just see the quality, the animation. I mean, just I could go on and on. I know for time I can't, but yeah, Lunark. It's at number 5, and it's my favorite indie game. Yeah, just overall in recent years, I think.
Wow. Excellent. Thank you. That does sound interesting for sure. And it certainly looks interesting. I haven't tried it myself. Justin, what is your number 5 title?
Yeah, mine is, again, similar to Trev's in that this is the only indie title I have in my top 5, but it is Sea of Stars.
Oh, nice.
Another, I think, Lunark has really amazing like pixel artwork, and Sea of Stars is very similar. It has obviously different style, but like the pixel art animation is just fantastic in it. For those that don't know, Sea of Stars is very much, you could consider it like a Chrono Trigger like game, very heavily inspired from Chrono Trigger, both in kind of the and even like classic Final Fantasy games where you have kind of that zoomed out overworld where you have the characters moving around, and then they'll go to some town or some wooded area or something, and you press A, and then you go into that area and you're running around, and then there's random turn-based battles that happen. But it has a lot of the same gameplay elements of like a Mario and Luigi game, so or even Super Mario RPG, where you can like press a button like right as your attack lands or right as enemy attacks lands to do either critical damage or do a block or something like that. So it's got really engaging gameplay. It has some interesting attacks like this boomerang that you can like again do time-based effects with it. So you'll send out this boomerang, it comes back to you, you can block it back, hits it can hit several enemies multiple times, and there's just a lot of really cool combo attacks, which again is something that Chrono Trigger did really well, where Chrono uses his sword and he connects with Marl and for ice and water and fire attacks. So there's just a lot of really cool abilities that you get, and it's a really engaging story. It's probably I don't know 25 hours, so it's not super long, but yeah, just fantastic.
Cool. Thank you, Justin. Yeah, I was wondering if that would make some lists. Unfortunately, I haven't played it outside of the demo, but I do know Kirk was very interested, so we'll see if it's in his top 4.
Top 5 on Metacritic. So for Switch
right.
reviews, universal acclaim.
Yeah, right. That's awesome. And I just don't know if you picked it up yet, Kirk, because you were talking about that for your Christmas kind of sales last week. Did you pick it up?
Yes, and I will say I did not get it yet, so it's not on my list.
That's okay.
But I know for certain, had I gotten this game, had I played it when it come out, I'm sure it would be a top 5.
Yeah, for sure.
Just from what I read. I am going to get it by next week or 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whenever I'm able to dig into it. Then it will. I'll be talking about it on a podcast, I'm sure. But I'm glad it's on Justin's list because I'm certain it's just wonderful.
Yes, awesome. Well, Kirk, sticking with you, we are now at the top 4. Would you like to give us your number 4 title?
I will, and it's another game that may be too low on my list, but I have a couple that you guys don't, so I had to drop some of these down. And it's Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously a fantastic game. The reason why it's not higher, as we mentioned on previous podcasts, is because after a while, all the constructing that you had to do, the building things, it just started to lose momentum for me, and so I kind of lost interest. And even to this date, I still have not finished it, which wasn't the case with Breath of the Wild. So although it's a wonderful game, and when you're into it and having fun, there's nothing else like it. But I eventually just had enough and set it aside and haven't been back to it. So it fell a bit further than it would have otherwise.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I'm interested to see where this one is on all of our lists. I'm sure it's there somewhere. But moving on to my number 4, and you might think this is a little bit too low, Kirk, but this is Pikmin 4 for me, is number 4.
I'm cool.
You're cool? Yeah.
I'm
well,
cool.
You can probably guess my top 3 based on
yeah. Probably, yeah.
Yeah. And the top 4 or 5, well, especially the top 4, because okay, they are all first party titles, but it's hard. It's really, really tricky to get these in the right order. And I debated over it many, many times, just like you're saying with Tears of the Kingdom, for example. Pikmin 4 could have been number 1 or 2 or 3. It could have been anywhere. It really could have. It's such a great game. I mean, I'm sure it's going to appear in your top 3, because you reviewed it and gave it a very high score of 9.5. I love this game. I love Pikmin in general. I'm a late comer to the Pikmin series. I came with Pikmin 3. So I loved Pikmin 3. I had it on the Wii U, and then I got it on the Switch. I also played the 3DS game Pikmin. I can't think of the name of it right now. Trev, help me.
Hey, Pikmin.
Yes, Hey Pikmin, of course. And I love that one. That's obviously a very different style, but it's a platformer, which I happen to love. So that was really cool. And Pikmin 4 just takes the series into I guess a new-ish direction with, Ochi. But it's still the classic formula that we love, that we know and love. There's a couple of new Pikmin to enjoy. There's the nighttime element, of course. One could gush on and on about Pikmin 4. It's beautiful to look at. It's it's got its own little quirky sense of humor to it. The with little astronauts always appeal to me with their giant heads, etc. It's just lovely. It's such a beautiful game to play. My son loves it. I think it's kind of almost the epitome of Nintendo's innocence in a way. Like I love that they can create games like this where it's not about. I mean, it's almost, I don't know if it's G-rated, but it's like it's family friendly. It's got the action, it's got the battles, but it's just done in such a cute way that it appeals to a very wide audience. It's got the tactical side to it. It's not like it's easy exactly. You have a lot of thought to put into it with the strategy, etc. But it's just very appealing, and I hope this one did gain more followers or more players to the series, because I think it is a bit of a niche audience for Pikmin. I'm just glad Nintendo stuck with Pikmin, because it's been, when was Pikmin 1 released? It was GameCube era, right? So it was 20 odd years ago. Yeah, 20 odd years ago. And we've only had 4 games in the series, like the mainline series, so in over 20 years. But I'm glad they still stick with it. I think it'll be a while before we see a Pikmin 5, but hopefully if this one did well, maybe it won't be as long a wait between Pikmin 3 and 4 as we had. So yeah, we'll see. But that's my number 4. Very happy with Pikmin 4. Let's move on to Trev and see what your number 4 is.
I swear I'm not plagiarizing your list, but I also had Pikmin 4.
Nice.
It's kind of like when Justin had F-Zero 99 at 9. We have Pikmin 4 at 4.
Yeah. I liked that kind of poetry.
Yeah. I did not pick this one up at launch. I only picked it up actually within this past month. But I've loved it. I'm not surprised, because I've been a fan since the GameCube, and then on the Wii with the new Play Control versions, and then on the Wii U, and and 3DS, and now with this one. I actually, when Justin and I did predictions, I predicted this was going to be delayed again, and I'm so glad I was wrong because it's been a blast. I don't really have much to say that you didn't already say, Jemma, or that Kirk or Justin might not say, but I will say that I've had a lot of fun in 2-player, which I wasn't expecting with this style, but the little pebble shooter, I love it. I've been picking off stuff from a distance while Jen does her thing, and we've saved so many Pikmin that way. And that's what I really like, because I hated seeing the Pikmin die and hearing their little cries of. So the fact that I can do that and put a dent in these huge enemies, or even wipe out certain enemies, is just great. So I haven't beaten it yet, but we've sunk double-digit hours into it, and we're having a blast. And I agree, it's one of those games I could have moved up a couple spots easily, but
Yeah.
I had to settle on 4.
Yeah. Agreed. Thank you, Trev. Justin, what is your number 4?
Yeah, so mine's the same as Kirk. I did Tears of the Kingdom at
Right. Yeah.
4, and you know I've talked at length about Tears of the Kingdom, and I did finish it. You know, I did finish the story and all of that, but there's definitely a lot I could have still done. I think I topped out at maybe like 55 hours in the game or something.
Yeah, you finished it in like record time, I think.
Yeah, you know, I was very much like I'm like at a person at like a big buffet, you know, and I'm like, well, I want to try the things, but I kind of want to make sure I get at least most of the main meal, you know, like I wanted to see a lot of what the game had to offer. I did some overworld bosses. I played through the whole game. I did all the dungeons. I did not do all the shrines. For some reason, like I did all the shrines in Breath of the Wild, but for some reason, I don't know, the shrines in this one, and I'm sure I've missed out on some really cool things here and there, but I don't know. I just couldn't get myself to get through all the shrines in this one. But anyways, from what I played, still like Kirk was saying, it's an excellent game. Like it's hard to, you know, like I feel spoiled almost saying that like, oh yeah, it's not the greatest game in the world, because it's so much better than a lot of games in a lot of ways. But it just, you know, it just didn't scratch fully the itch I want from Zelda games with the dungeons. They were improved. The boss battles definitely improved over Breath of the Wild. So you know, one of the highlights from Tears of the Kingdom is that last boss battle with Ganondorf. I won't spoil too much, but yeah, I probably shouldn't even mention it, but it's just a really cool moment. So yeah, Kirk, you haven't finished it, but that last boss battle has a really fun thing that it does that it gets a chuckle out of you, you know, and it was really fun. It'd be fun to discuss the game at length, maybe more. Have like a maybe, you know, it's almost been 6 months since that. I guess a little more than 6 months, but have some sort of a retrospective on the game and
post-mortem.
Yeah.
Post-mortem, exactly. Yeah. So anyways, I'm already talking at length about this, but still a great game, but yeah, number 4 for me.
Number 4. Okay. Well, that's okay. I actually wasn't sure where that would place on yours. So I think 4 is pretty good, honestly. Yeah.
I do want to just add real quick, if you want to see flack, check out some of the comments on Justin's review on the website.
Oh, really?
I haven't seen any.
Oh, I didn't see those either. No.
We got a few. So
Oh, really?
Which is fair. You know, it's always I like comments. You know, negative, positive. I just like getting comments. So
True.
you know, we don't always get them. So
yeah.
And everyone's opinion is valid as long as it's informed. And you know, obviously, Justin beat the game, so.
Maybe you shouldn't read them, Justin.
I'll read them. It's fine.
There's your postpartum.
Everybody, they're all wrong, of course, but you know.
yeah, exactly. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, of course. So yes. Circling back to Kirk, and now we're hitting the top 3. So we're really in our stride now. What could possibly be your number 3 game, Kirk?
Well, we're now at the point where my last 3 games were all 9.5 reviews from me. And these were the only 3 that got it. So it makes sense. And this was a late addition because I didn't even realize that I could include it. But this is Xenoblade Chronicles 3, the Future Redeemed expansion pass,
Cool.
which came out in March for what was easily my favorite game of 2022 was Xenoblade Chronicles 3. And this was a 20, 25, 30 hour story that happens after that's done. It wasn't just like DLC for costumes or something. It's a whole new game with a tweaked battle system. So it's not even the exact same gameplay as Xenoblade Chronicles 3. They change up a lot of things. And it was wonderful in both the story, how it tied in everything, which from my point of view was untieable from Xenoblade Chronicles and Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Absolutely magnificent, perfectly well done. It was like a great big thank you to everyone who had played all the games and stuck with it all the way through. They nailed everything. It was fun to play. It was exhilarating. I loved it. And I can't say enough about it. So I'm glad I realized that I was able to include this in since it came from March. Just fantastic.
I'm glad you could too. The enthusiasm comes across, definitely. So yeah, I love it.
Yeah, it's good you did, because I think that was in the top 5 actually for Metacritic.
Oh, there you
Switch,
go. Yeah.
written. So it's good that it
Yeah.
got in there.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Kirk.
Mhm.
Well, my number 3 happens to be Tears of the Kingdom, actually. So, and I debated long and hard about where to place this also because if you're going by how much time I spent on a game this year, Tears of the Kingdom is number 1. Like I spent way more time with this than anything else. But there are just 2 others that I think maybe I preferred overall. I loved Tears of the Kingdom. I spent, like I said, a lot of time with it. It was, I was definitely engaged, throughout May, June, July. But like Kirk, I can't bring myself to go back to it now. Just like, I don't know. I kind of got over it, I suppose. Yeah. But it is, like we've all said, it's a magnificent game. It's huge. Like the world is ginormous. There's so much to do. And I think it's almost that overwhelming aspect that has me not wanting to go back now because I can't face all the things I still need to do. It's just too much. There's too much to do. But absolutely love my time with it. Maybe I will go back to it, in next year at some point. I'll be like, oh, maybe I could revisit Tears of the Kingdom and see what I can fill out in terms of collecting all the things and doing all the things. But I loved, I know the story was a bit lackluster, and you mentioned in your review, Justin, but I kind of liked finding Zelda again. Like I just enjoyed that moment of her appearing to me, or me finding her and getting the Master Sword. I kind of liked that. I really enjoyed that little cinematic part that happened. I don't know why. It just felt nice. Yeah. Yeah. I won't go into too much more detail. I think we've talked about it enough. But yeah, huge game, just not my number 1. Number 3. Number 3 for me. What is your number 3, Trev?
Well, we're going to talk about it a little bit more because that's also my number 3. And again, I swear I'm not plagiarizing your list. It's just the way it worked out.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a great game. I really, enjoyed a lot about it. I thought the underground made it feel fresh. I 100%ed that map, and it just wasn't. I feel like I need to justify it at 3 when it's not at number 1.
Yeah.
But keep in mind, Breath of the Wild wasn't my favorite game when that came out. That was, I think, second to Odyssey. So,
oh, there you go. Mm-hmm.
This is, when we do eventually, get back to it, I'm gonna have a great time. Like I had a great time, playing it initially. We sunk, probably a couple hundred hours into it. So like you said, if I was just going by playtime, this would be number 1 easy. But there were 2 games, even though they're smaller, that I just happened to enjoy more. But it's not a knock on Tears of the Kingdom, just because we all had it at 3 and 4 respectively. Keep an eye out. We're going to be sharing overall staff voting. So I'll just throw that out there.
Ah, yeah, good point. Yeah, this is just us 4 discussing our top 10, but we do have the team's overall list to announce at the end. So good point. Thank you, Trev. Justin, let's move on to your number 3 title of 2023.
Mine is Pikmin 4. So
cool.
We've obviously you guys have talked about Pikmin 4, fantastic game. Um, I feel like with the Pikmin games, they just keep getting better. I know there's been some detractors that haven't liked Ochi and, all the Pikmin piling on and that kind of changing some of the core gameplay of Pikmin. And I could see some of that, but I don't know. I still really enjoy myself with Pikmin 4, and yeah, I think it's like you said. I hope that it's not another. Was it 9 years or so? I felt like it was a huge gap
Yeah.
for.
Yeah, it was.
So I don't think I think the developers even said in some of the interviews around launch that they're hoping it's not as long. And I think it sold decently well. I haven't looked at the sales recently, but I think Pikmin 4 did pretty well as far as the series goes. So hopefully, yeah, a bunch of new people got on board with it, and the Switch effect, basically, a lot of
Yeah.
new people, into just Nintendo games with the Switch. So hopefully that
Yeah.
franchise going.
Hopefully. Yeah, time will tell. Thank you, Justin. I'm glad that made your top 3. Kirk. Now we're into the top 2. So these are the 2 best games in Kirk's opinion of the year. What is your number 2 game?
My number 2 is Pikmin 4.
I thought it might be. Yeah.
So I guess that's higher than you guys. Real quickly, I will say the reason why it wasn't number 1, and this is an obvious setup for my number 1, is because I felt that some of the things that were on the side with all the management and the different things you had to do in the nighttime, although they were all fun in their own way, the Dandori battles, they got in the way of the actual story and the core gameplay of it too much for me. Where I would be playing and I would like to keep playing, but I'm like, oh God, it's another Dandori battle. I'm going to bed. I don't like it when games do that. I like it when I say, you know what, I should be going to bed, but why don't I just push a little bit further? And Pikmin 4 was the opposite of that for me. That said, as I mentioned, I think when we were talking about this before, there is no other game that's even remotely close to Pikmin that I'm aware of. It's
That's
such
true.
a unique experience, and the core gameplay when you're exploring and you're having these battles and you're finding these treasures and taking them back, it's so much fun and it's so engaging, and it's one of the reasons I love Nintendo is because they could take a game like this, which is totally accessible to families, and actually make it fun. Most of the time when I see fun for the whole family, I know that this is going to be a terrible experience and I don't want to go anywhere near it. But when Nintendo says it, it's true.
Mm-hmm.
And anybody of any age can enjoy this and have a blast with it, as is indicated by my family, as we all played it and had a lot of fun.
Yeah. Very good points. I love that. I completely agree. Completely agree. Thank you, Kirk. I don't know what number 1 is. I want to know, but I will get back to that. We'll circle back to you soon. My number 2, and honestly, this could have been number 1. It really could have. But number 2 for me is Super Mario RPG. And the only reason it's not number 1 is because it is a remake, and I thought I think that my number 1 deserves it a little bit more. So number 2, Super Mario RPG. For me, this is a completely new game, which is why I could have very easily made this number 1, because I haven't played this before, and I am just in love with this game. It is so good. It is so good. It well deserves that 9.5 you gave it, Trev. It's just, I can't even start. I don't know where to start with this one. It's just so well balanced in terms of humor. Graphically, like Justin said, it looks fantastic. Like as an HD remake, it is just beautiful. The cutscenes, I love it. And the triple attacks, whatever they're called, when you have your 3 people do your triple attack, like they just look fantastic. Like when Bowser is in his little clown cart with Mario and Mello. I just love it. It's so good. The battle system's great. I think you can see how this led to, more Mario-based games like Mario and Luigi, etc. I love being able to block and attack. Like I just get so much satisfaction out of just pressing the A at the right button at the right time to do an extra attack or do a block. It's just so satisfying. I know this is not the only game that does that, but even the way that Bowser will turn and say thank you, or they all do, they all say thank you when you heal them. It's just everything about it. The dance, I mentioned this on an episode when we talked about Super Mario RPG earlier this year. When they dance, when they get leveled up, and all the other characters are dancing on the screen.
Yeah.
It's just, I just
Which
love
is
it.
unique. I double checked. The old one had just like a static kind of quick little animation of the
Ah, there you
individual. But
go. So this is new. And when I found Bowser, when he joined my party, I was like, "Is Bowser going to dance?" Because I just don't know about that. So he did the little side shuffle. I was very happy to see that. And I just love this. Yeah, yeah, bust a move. I love the story. I love that Bowser's part of your party. Yet he thinks that Mario is his minion, like he's joining his minions. I just love the humor in it. There's a lot going for it. If you haven't played this, please do. It's just such a great game. And I'll leave it there. Number 2, Trev. What is your number 2?
it was tough. In some ways, it reminded me of last year. If anyone caught that episode, I was wrestling between Pokemon Legends, Arceus, and my eventual pick, which was Kirby and the Forgotten Land. And it was similar with this. I had to go with Super Mario Wonder at the number 2 spot. Could have easily been a number 1, but it lands there. And there's no shame in that. It's just a ton of fun. I know, we've already talked about it a bit, and we're probably going to talk about it a bit more. But it brought the creativity that I felt the new series was lacking, even though I'm a big fan of that series and played those games a ton. This just felt fresh and exciting and, roaming the map. Do I want to go this way? Do I want to go that way? I can't even tell you. It's one I've been playing cooperatively with Jen. And it just so much right. Even the online, which I think I was critical of initially. I like, watching shadows bounce around and, when you get put into a bubble form or ghost form, whatever it is, trying to find the closest live person to pop you. And, I'm going to leave the rest of you to talk about it a bit more, because I know it's on your list, but just a great game. And I've had a blast with it, and that's it.
Yeah, nice. Very good. Thank you, Trev. Justin, what is your number 2 title?
Metroid Prime Remastered. You guys have heard me talk about Metroid Prime before, and one of my favorite games of all time. And so it really just got a ton of love. I know I was mentioning Mario RPG, one of the best, remakes or remasters. I feel like Metroid Prime Remastered is up there too. Just a very faithful remastering of the game. The core gameplay is just as sparkling as it ever was, and they basically redid all of the assets in the game. Everything just has so much vivid detail. It's honestly one of the best looking games on the Switch. Even being a GameCube game that's remastered. So, anyways, just a lot of fun, and it was amazing to have basically like the year kind of started off with that. It was like early February, I think, when the Nintendo Direct and Shadow dropped it. So that was just a really cool way to do that. I do hope that Metroid Prime 2 and 3 get the same treatment, same level of detail, and hopefully those will come out prior to Prime 4, and Prime 4 hopefully will come out soon. But I'm hoping maybe they'll save that for the Switch successor or something at this point. But us Metroid fans are thirsty. So.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. Awesome. Thank you, Justin. All right. It is the moment of truth. It is the number 1 game from each of us, starting with you, Kirk. What is your number 1 title of 2023?
Fire Emblem Engage.
Of course it is.
and I'm thrilled to be able to say that, because obviously I love this franchise. It's my favorite franchise on Nintendo. But this may be the first time since all the way back to Radiant Dawn on the Wii that I've been able to say that it's my favorite game of the year for all the others. And the main reason is because this is the one where we finally got back to actually focusing on the game instead of the story and the side stuff and all the extra things that, to be fair, probably saved the franchise when they brought that into Awakening and made it much more than just turn-based battles. But as a guy who just wants turn-based battles, I was thrilled to be. Now there is some other stuff that you could do in this, but it doesn't really get in the way as much as it has in the past. The individual battles were great. They focused a lot on the maps and the strategies that you had to use to overcome them. You couldn't just kind of separate people like on the others and kind of drag people out. You had to be smart and engage, especially if you were playing the more difficult level and if you had permadeath on, which they don't make. It's not a requirement anymore, but I still played it that way because that's what I love about these games, is really focusing on my strategy and trying to get through it without losing anybody. And because if there are characters I don't like, I can kill them and move on, and who cares? But yeah, I was just absolutely thrilled with what this game was. So I understand if you really liked Three Houses and you played this, it didn't have a lot of that and you were turned off. Fair. But for the rest of us who have been with the series for a long time, it was a great return to form. And I was thrilled that I enjoyed it as much as I did.
Excellent. Did you guys hear that? Did you guys hear that? That might not.
Yeah, just a little sound effect for you guys.
I thought that was Kirk cheering Fire Emblem.
Yeah.
I figured it was a Simpsons reference to something.
Yeah, it was actually a Donkey Kong character, but I was wanting to interject in a dramatic way. But Fire Emblem Engage did not make my top 10, Kirk, but I really did enjoy it, and I felt like it was a return to form, and I missed the gameplay too, like you were saying. Like I had Three Houses as well, and just a lot of the school stuff, the story stuff. I don't know. There was just a lot of. It's like, wait, are we going to get to the battles? What about the turn-based battles?
Yeah.
But so yeah, because I was a fan of the GameCube game, the Wii one. Those were really like kind of peak. I liked a lot of the DS ones too, but like again, if you like Advance Wars, Jemma, I like Fire Emblem, has similar, arguably even deeper gameplay too. But yeah.
Yeah, and the other thing about that real quickly too is that like with Three Houses, there were 3 different houses you could choose to go down. You select a character or who you're going to decide that you're going to team up with, and then you could have a second playthrough where you could team up with somebody else and then join that house and go down that path. But there was so much extra stuff that you had to play through again that I just never wanted to do it because I didn't want to go through all of that. This one doesn't have all that as much, but you could play it multiple times at different difficulty levels and focus on different people maybe that you want to keep in your party from start to finish. So because there's less interfering, it's more conducive to multiple playthroughs. And that's another thing that I loved about it, because I've played Radiant Dawn maybe 5 times now. I would love to do it with Path of Radiance, but I no longer have a GameCube. So my game just sits there on its own and can't be played anywhere. But maybe one day they'll finally give me a digital version I can download for the Switch or whatever's next. And
Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully.
That's a rare game too. Like that. That's I would hang on to that for a while.
I've looked at the resale value on that because I've got it with the box and the manual that I put together. I think through 3 separate purchases, and it's. I'm going to keep it, but my kids may be able to sell it and pay for my funeral.
Well, if you're going to go, you got to go with a Fire Emblem.
Right.
But yeah,
Fire
they
Emblem
won't,
funded
because
funeral.
Sam will end up playing it. He'll pay for it out of pocket and keep the game. So good for you.
Yeah, family heirloom. There you go.
Yeah.
Nice. Thank you, Kirk. I think that's worthy. That's a very worthy contender for number 1 for your list. I love it. Thank you. My number 1, probably no surprise either, is Super Mario Brothers Wonder, of course. So this is, I love Mario. Just like you, Kirk, Fire Emblem is your favorite Nintendo franchise. Mine is the Mario Brothers series, the platforming series in particular. I've always been a huge fan. I grew up playing the Mario Brothers series. I love, like Trev, I love the new Super Mario Brothers series. I think it cops a bit too much flack in my opinion. But this is definitely a breath of fresh air. It certainly took the the core concept of Mario's platforming adventures and put a real spin on it, a fresh look, a fresh lens, if you will, with the Wonder Seed and those moments within each level where you hit that Wonder Seed and something crazy happens. You just don't know what to expect, and they were just moments of pure joy, like just playing and seeing, oh, I'm suddenly a Goomba, or now I'm being chased by a giant ball, or now I can walk through fire. I've got this protective fire bubble, and now I can walk through fire. Like there's just no end to the creativity, and I love that the developers. I think I said this maybe to Kirk in a recent podcast. I would, or maybe Trev as well. I can't remember. Sorry, but I would love to have been in the room or to be one of those people developing this game and just putting all these crazy ideas up on the wall. Like I feel like anything would have gone. Like just put up your craziest ideas and then we'll whittle it down. We'll choose the best. That would have been a fun kind of brainstorming session. So, and this game kind of came out of nowhere. Like it was announced pretty late. It came out I think October, didn't it? But it was announced not that much earlier than that, like a couple months before that during a direct. Here we go. It's Mario Brothers Wonder. Like, what? We're getting a brand new Mario platformer. So that was a nice surprise. I will say that I've been, again, clamoring for a new Super Mario Brothers platforming adventure for a long time because the previous title was a Wii U title. Again, that was, I think it was a launch title. So it must be around 10 years old or so, right? So, yeah, it was a long time between adventures. Yeah, I love this game. I could go on and on. It's just it's wonderful, to put a pun on at the end. It's just a wonderful game. Yeah. Trev, what is your number one title of 2023?
Super Mario RPG.
Ah, nice.
I mentioned in a podcast a few months back I was kind of wrestling even before the game came out because I love the original, but I was kind of half joking. I really didn't think it would end up number one. But man, I tell you, I just, I played it and it was, there's games this year I played longer. There's games this year I played that have probably more replay value, but just in terms of sheer fun, this was it for me. I love, it was faithful, like Justin said, but I love the visual updates. I love the fact that you could switch between the original music and the updated music, and just it's just fun. I mean, I probably should open a thesaurus and find a better word, but Mario RPG is it. And I love Paper Mario and the Mario and Luigi series, but yeah, this one is still got it. And I know RPGs are not as broad appealing as, say, a platformer, but I would encourage anyone who has never played this game, definitely don't sleep on it because it's a blast.
Yeah, you definitely don't need to be an RPG enthusiast to enjoy it. Like it's accessible, like Pikmin, right? It's made for anyone to be able to play and enjoy, I think. Do you agree? Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, anyone, whether you've never played an RPG to even someone like Kirk who just loves his RPGs, I think this is a game you can appreciate on multiple levels. I really do. Whether you're just there for the story or the fresh settings and locales, the character interactions, whatever the case may be, you're bound to have a good time.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you, Trev. That is a great number one title. And like I said, I could have easily made it number one. I really debated about those two, but yeah, excellent title. Thank you. Justin, it's all down to you. What is your number one title of 2023?
Well, mine echoes yours, Jemma. Super Mario Brothers Wonder.
Nice.
It, just it's already been said, but just the creativity of the level design, the graphics, just the fun, the wonderful. Like I'm just continuously impressed how fresh everything feels. Like the Wonder Flower. I'm like, man, they really haven't repeated one of the things that the Wonder Flower does in each world. Like you're just like, man, there's just a ton of new. It's kind of funny. Like the previous 2D games were called New Super Mario Brothers, the series, and like this one feels more new and fresh than than a lot of the 2D Marios since like maybe Super Mario World. Like like if I had to give any critique, I do think I think you might have mentioned this, Jim. I mean, did you do the review for this? I think.
Yeah, I did.
I think you mentioned like the bosses. I feel like the bosses
Mm.
were not as challenging as I would have liked, and
Mm-hmm.
even like when you go into the airship and you're just kind of running along the conveyor belt and hit the like they're just a little easy.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to
Yeah.
see a little bit more challenge there, but um, other like basically everything else has just been so much fun. So
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. No, that's really good point. I did forget about that. But yes, no, the bosses weren't terribly difficult. But there's also, the badges, which were way more fun to collect than I expected. There's
Yeah.
roaming around the world map, like Trev said. That was really fun, choosing which way to go. Yeah, even some of there's a rhythm badge, the one where you jump in time to the music and you collect coins. Like, that's just so useless, but so fun. It's just like...
Yeah.
I'll
The
add real
kid,
quick too, if I can, Gemma, to Justin's point. I feel like Super Mario Wonder for the certain generation of gamers will be like Mario 3 was to us, or Mario World
Mm,
was to
yeah.
us. It's just going
yeah.
to be a game that's going to endure. I really believe that.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Well, that wraps up our top 10. I mean, Trev, did you want to reveal the team's overall top 10 now?
I do. There's going to be some expected things and some surprises because keep in mind we're four people on a podcast, but
Mm,
at Pure Nintendo we have a double digit employees,
yeah,
staff contributors, which means double digit voting,
right.
and there's just to whittle these down and tabulate everyone's votes and where they place. It was a challenge, but I
Yeah.
just really quickly mentioned some honorable mentions that missed the cutoff. We had a couple first party games: Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe and
Hmm.
WarioWare Move It. Both of those games probably could have made the top 10 if it wasn't for just the number of choices out there. So,
Mm.
but number 10, we actually had a tie, and this surprised the heck out of me because I didn't think either of these games would make it. But we have a pair of indie games, Lunark, which was on my list, and Terror of Hemosaurus, which was on Kirk's list.
Cool.
So I'm delighted that we had a pair of indie games slip in at the number 10 spot.
Yeah, I didn't know anyone else had played Terra of Hemosaurus.
Well,
Good.
I tell you, surprise.
Mhm.
uh, number 9, and this is the last indie game before it's all first party, just to prep you, is Dave the Diver, which Gemma and I had on our list kind of lower, but
Mm.
I feel like it's a game, if it maybe came out earlier in the year, maybe more people would have played it because I feel
Hmm.
like it's picking up hype. But
Yeah.
yeah, number 9. So number 8 is Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp, which I think only Gemma had on her list.
Oh,
But
cool.
when we tabulate everyone else's votes, it slips into the top 10. Number 7, even though Justin and I didn't have this game on our list, is Fire Emblem Engage.
Cool.
So thankfully, some of the other staff were able to put that on their list.
Good job, guys.
Yeah.
I'll stick around for another year.
Number 6 was interesting. It's Metroid Prime Remaster. This one actually didn't get as many votes as some of the others, but some of those who voted for it had it quite high, which helped quite a bit in these
Mm.
rankings. So,
Hmm.
number 6, Metroid Prime Remaster. So number 5, we have the Mario Kart DLC booster tracks, which were very popular with a lot of the Pure Nintendo crew.
Nice.
And I got to say, most of the Pure Nintendo crew is better than me. So number 4, and from here 4 to 1 is all very. We're talking about maybe like a vote or two difference. We had, ironically, Pikmin 4. It was a popular one that a lot of the team picked up and enjoyed. Just edging that at number 3 is Super Mario RPG.
Cool.
And now here's the big one, because if you were to listen to this podcast, you would think our game of the year is Mario Wonder, but that actually is our number 2 game of the year.
Yeah.
And despite us all having it at 3 and 4, when you factor in the entire cruise votes, The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom won out by the slimmest, and I mean slim margins. We're talking like Splatoon versus Mario Maker back in 2015 margins. That's how tight it was. But there you go. Surprise!
Surprise! Well,
I'm not surprised because I bet everybody on the staff, maybe not everyone, the majority of everyone probably played Tears of the Kingdom, but not everyone would have played Wonder.
That's
so there are probably
absolutely
more
right,
votes.
Kirk.
Is that the case? Okay, that makes
Because
sense.
they actually got equal number of first place votes. I think they each had a pair of first place votes, and pretty much everyone had Tears of the Kingdom. I think the lowest was 4 actually from you and Justin. Everyone had it in the top 3. Pretty much most people had Wonder in the top 3 as well, but more people bought Tears of the Kingdom, and that's really, it's like one person bought it, and their one vote was like the difference. So,
wow. Yeah, there you go. That makes sense.
I could see, it doesn't surprise me.
So it just goes to show you, even though we're the maybe the vocal voices of pure Nintendo, we're not the ultimate say. So
yeah, well, at least when we post this online, we won't cop any flack over it. So.
Once again, Zelda edges out Mario. It's like Breath of the Wild beating Mario Odyssey all over again.
Poor Mario. Well, Mario's number 1 in my eyes. That's okay. That's amazing. Thank you so much, Trev. That's an awesome list. Are we going to post that on our website or something for?
We probably should. I was working up something for the mag, but yeah, we probably should have something on the site. So I'm gonna
cool.
I'm gonna either work on that myself or delegate that to someone.
Yeah.
I think it's worth seeing, how the overall team choices, how they match up to our individual ones, and there is some, unique ones on here. So
yeah, excellent. Well, that has been such a fun discussion. Was there anything else anyone else wanted to add before we close things off for the year? Anything from you, Kirk or Justin?
The only thing I would say is that I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens in 2024, because since we're likely going to get a new console, I think that opens up a lot of options for what's going to end up hitting it. So it's fun just to anticipate what this could be next year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
I would echo that excitement that, next year, like this year was already such a good year for Nintendo and the Switch, but next year has the potential to be, even better with a new console and, potential. Like I would think Nintendo's probably saving some heavy hitters for the launch of a new system. So I think it's going to be really interesting. And I think last year we did like a predictions podcast. So maybe here in the next week or so, I know Trev, you and I have a reminder on my calendar to write up some predictions. And tomorrow, hopefully I'll get some time to write mine up. But it'd be cool to do a podcast here soon to before the year gets too far in, that we try to get our predictions out there before stuff starts happening. Because I'm sure with a big year like this, if there is going to be a new Nintendo system, there may be things getting announced pretty soon in the year, or anyway. So get our predictions in.
Yeah, that sounds great. We can do that in the next week or two for sure. I would love to do that with you guys. Thank you so much to everyone. I said this last week, but only Kirk and I were on. But if you didn't listen, I did say thank you, Trev, for joining us most weeks, and Justin throughout the year as well with Katie. It's been such a pleasure talking all things Nintendo with this group. And I do hope listeners have enjoyed hearing about all things Nintendo as well. We certainly would love to hear from you. So if you have any feedback or comments or suggestions, please let us know. And as always, like and subscribe on YouTube, or give us a rating on one of the podcasting channels such as Spotify, Amazon, or Apple. We'd love to hear from you. We have certainly had a big year. This is episode 43, so we've covered pretty much every week of the year. We had a slightly late start, I think, in February or March earlier in the year, but week to week we've done a pretty stellar job, I think. So thank you we couldn't do it without you listeners, without you crew. So yeah, here's to 2023 and here's to 2024 and what we can look forward to. Yeah, thank you so much. Until next week and next year. Game on, everybody.
Happy New Year.
See ya.
Happy New Year. Bye.